Well, hello, hi, it is me, it is I, small town Didi on the internet, and I'm back. I know I've been gone for a minute. I'm back. I don't even know which video I'm gonna post first. I think I'm gonna post this one. I didn't think so though. I might. Anyway, I'm back. Mihlali, Hot Topic and I said trended at the weekend. Went on her socials, on her Instagram in particular, and essentially put some big brands on blast, Vodacom and a vodka of sorts. I don't know. I'm not a vodka girl. That's not for me. They hadn't settled invoices by her for work that she had done for them months ago already. And it just got some very interesting conversations happening online. I'm not sure where I'm gonna go in this video with these conversations because the little bit of tangents, right? Everybody wants to talk about, some people rather want to speak on the fact that if this is really essentially one of our biggest influences, and this is how the treatment she's getting once brands have to settle their dates, really, what's it look like for the little guys, for the micro guys? We can't imagine how much they get taken advantage of if this is the conversation. And then there's also the angle that I find very fascinating of just how much, like, how do we price influence, but also in a very specific South African but also continental context. Like, are South African influencers really that influential, if you would like? Like, are we really, do they have the star power, especially an online brand, like somebody who, Mihlali was born online, her brand was born on YouTube, we learned about her on here, not like a Connie Ferguson whom we've seen on our TV screens our whole lives and whatever. What's that look like, that celebrity, that influence, that power? What does that's a very interesting conversation to me, because looking at our South African influences, and if I was to compare them on the continent, which is not fair because they can't compete, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, oh my god, with the Nigerian influences in particular. I was very fascinated when I was watching the Real Housewives of Nigeria, or Lagos rather, and I went on all their social medias. The Nigerian girls have seen, like, they managed to tap into what we now know as influencing how the American girls have been able to do it, and the bigger brands, your Jackie Ainas and what have you, how they've been able to come online, launch businesses off of their them being influencers, the notoriety or whatever it is. They've really managed to, like, use the platforms that they've managed to build for themselves and really propel themselves forward and build really viable businesses, which then ushers in the conversation of how long do you have as an influencer before you are the brand where you launch the actual brand yourself. Like, we saw the makeup girl doing, what's her name? I forgot her name, but she's a Mihlali. Is it Gorgeous Mihlali? What is the window before you are just like, hey, drink Coca-Cola, I'm Mihlali here, and then Coke doesn't settle your bill or telling us to like, you know, get some diabetes. How long do you have before you have to now say, I'm coming out with my own line and I'm selling people brand me, as opposed to brand I like this? It's really brought about a very interesting conversation for me, because that online career seems very, very short. Like, because it's an issue of the parasocial relationship that everybody, all the buzzwords, okay, on this video, forgive me, but it's only so, you can only say to us for so long, oh my god, I love this lipstick is the one, right? This Clinique lipstick is the one, and then next week you're telling us, oh my god, I love about this Revlon. You know them, you know how they're always talking about, I don't want to advertise shit. Is it still blurry? This is my favorite foundation. I don't know why it's not. You know how they do. Every fucking week you're coming through trying to push up new product on us. And like, let's not ignore the fact that South Africa in particular has an underemployed youth and an unemployed youth, right? Like overall. So like, you're trying to push up product, like we can only buy it for so long, right? So I'm looking at somebody who's as big as Mihlali, who is hosting whatever marquee she was like hosting at whatever event for Vodacom. I believe that's what the dispute of payment was over. I may be wrong. But like, if somebody like that with that level of notoriety and how she sells papers, how she keeps blogs going, I'm sitting here talking about her, not a blog, but if somebody like her is having a hard time getting her bills attended to by these large companies until she puts them on blast, yes, what is the conversation for Didi? Didi, who's just started doing this, and they're like, oh, she has a little bit of an engaging audience, let's reach out to her, let's be whatever. I would be shit scared if they're not settling my bill to put them on blast, because I feel like that would make other people look at me, or other brands look at me like, oh, she's gonna put us on blast, we gotta step away from her, like, ooh. So are we dealing with a lot of micro influencers going mum because they're so afraid that if they would rather have the association of having done the gig, and therefore the sort of conclusion that if you did the gig you got paid because you did put paid in your post or whatever it is that you were doing, then really be paid? Or do you guys understand what I'm saying? Like, would you rather say to us, or would you rather have us believe that you got paid when you didn't get paid because it's a better look for the next brand that wants to work with you, as opposed to putting them on blast? And then, because what does this mean for Mihlali? Does she continue to have a working relationship with the alcohol people or the telephone company? Like, will they continue to be in business with her, to want to work with her? If this is what Mihlali is, she's the, you can argue about it, do whatever, but she is the blueprint in this country, or at least the height of what an influencer can amass, right? She's the bar, really. I know people feel like, yeah, Kefibu or Kefilu, what, I don't want to butcher, it's not on purpose. I'm not dismissing her. If I'm saying it wrong, it's happened, I'm sorry. She has her own thing going there, but I don't receive her at the same level of influence as Mihlali. And perhaps it's because Mihlali has a younger audience and they have access to their mother's credit cards and they can just take and buy things. She has that kind of influence. But like, there's a lot to chew on here. This video was a little all over the place because my mind is all over the place with this topic of like, as I'm venturing into this space, am I really cognizant and paying attention to what does it really entail to exist in the space? How long do I have in the space before I have to pivot? Or, you know, how do you know how long you have? Because it's so new, right? Like, you don't know how long you have to stay and milk, and what deals to take and what not to take, what rates to charge, when to pivot, when to do this. And I don't know if we gloss over it and just think that things are gonna work themselves out and they're gonna pan out. And the other thing that also panics me a little bit is the very young influencers, right? I watch Birth of Stars or Birth of a Star. What is it? I forget the name. I wanted to review it. But it's a reality show on YouTube, and it follows primarily these three young men in the entertainment space, and they all do different things. Gum in particular's channel I've started watching because it was fed to me, and I was like, oh, okay, they have a channel. And I remember Miguelings, who's very big on TikTok, came on in later episodes, and he was also talking about how they were having the discussion that they've managed to, through their talents and through these platforms that they're very fortunate to exist in this time, they've managed to become somewhat financially stable and start contributing to their home. But these are young men, they're like 19 and like they're so young, and I'm like, how long do they have? And like, they're so young, they're so fragile. What does that do to them? Like, I'm really so scared because I'm rooting for them, but I'm also like, oh my god, like what does this look like? Like, are people taking advantage of them? You know, are they getting paid for their worth? Are they being exploited? Are they being used? Like, it really, watching that conversation, that I cannot remember if Mugellings was having the conversation or really I cannot, but it was very literally, that's where my mind went of, these kids are young, and if your life on social media, because your life on social media is actually determined by your audience, right? And your audience is not gonna grow with you. Your audience is actually not gonna grow with you, especially if you're young, right? The younger audience that is watching you right now, the 19, 18-year-olds, they're watching you because they live in vicariously through you. Like, they don't have access to, you know, lay their hair. Them bitches' hair always laid, you understand? Like, they don't have them, so they live through you, and then at some point they outlive wanting that kind of escapism, so they go elsewhere, and you now need to find a new audience to grow with you. And if you don't manage to pivot at the right time, what does that mean for you? Can you imagine peaking at 19? Oof, this went somewhere else. But that's it. That's where the Mihlali conversation took me, in terms of, first of all, Vodacom, pay your bills, girl. You owe that Please Call guy. Allegedly. You owe everybody. You always taking my airtime also. And like always telling me to unsubscribe and opt out. I never opted in, girl. I've never subscribed. Vodacom, pay your bills, girl. Ugh. Bye.